Have you ever thought about what the world would look like in 100 years, 1,000 years, even a million years? Where civilization would be? Are we still here? Have we moved on? What have we made? What have we accomplished? Did we do the things we said we'd do? This morning I woke up thinking about that. So I found a video here, which is what if civilization collapsed? And with everything going on in the world, now we've had COVID, that's been and gone, we believe, and there's global warming, there's all sorts going on. What are we actually doing to help it out? What could we be doing? And I think this video might answer those questions. So let's just watch. Let's see if it does. If I can get these on. There she is.
People are dying. Entire ecosystems
Kicking off
are collapsing.
with Greta.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you?
If you were a time traveler, wouldn't you want to see what's happening on Earth in the next 100 years?
Yes,
Our
definitely.
civilization has
Guaranteed.
faced enormous threats. Bushfires, earthquakes, floods and hurricanes, and we continue to face lethal pandemics. These dangers are so severe that several scientists are concerned that human civilization might collapse.
It's gripped my attention within the first minute. I think we are getting close to being doomed. Personally, there's just so many things that we just can't control for some reason. Like a little, let's say a little, it was a decent sized pandemic, but we didn't have panic over niche. Do you know what I mean? And with global warming and that going on, we're all, like Greta just said there, money. Instead of actually knocking down on stuff that that actually would help, like plastic straws for example, were 0.3% of the plastic in the ocean. The others were not even proper plastics, they're microplastics, little polyesters and all that stuff that were in there off oil and all sorts. But now we'll focus on straws, we'll take with plastic cups, which I don't even think plastic cups are 1% of it either. They're all tiny things we can't live without, everything's plastic. And they're not changing the powers and stuff, they're making money off it somehow. Same with cars, car batteries, you're going to have to dispose of them within 10 years of using them. And where they all going to go, we're going to have a massive battery dump full of car batteries that we can't destroy or expose of. It's just so frustrating. I think it's really frustrating. It doesn't half grind my gears.
It's a horrifying thought, but what if it's true? Is human civilization on the brink of disaster? How would it
This
all
also
unfold?
grinds my gears. Adverts. It's a gym one. And we're back.
And how long before it could all come to an end? This is What If, and here's what would happen if civilization collapses. In January of 2021, a paper published in Frontiers in Conservative Science states that we are on a 6th major extinction path.
Jeez.
According to the authors, biodiversity loss,
Goes.
climate disruption, human consumption, and population growth will soon...
Elon Musk said the biggest issue we face currently is underpopulation. On Tuesday last week, we reached 8 billion people. Tuesday last week, which is what, the 15th or something? Oh no, it's Tuesday today, so yeah, I was right, the 15th. We hit 8 billion people on the planet. And Elon Musk has said, no, we need more. Makes you
bring us
just
to
half
the
make you
end
wonder.
of civilization as we know
Money, everything's money.
it. And some
My favourite movie ever, that. Blade Runner 2049.
physicists have calculated a 90% chance that human society will collapse within decades. So, if we could see the future,
Just said would collapse in
how
decades
might these
there.
events unfold? And how long do we have until Doomsday?
skitsy.
Our starting point is COVID-19. This pandemic has killed millions worldwide. Sure, we have all kinds of vaccines, but because of our ecologically unsustainable lifestyles, scientists predict more deadly pandemics are on the horizon. Surface temperatures at the top 100 meters of the oceans have risen by 1/3 of a degree, endangering 25% of biodiversity and marine life, and bleaching about 30% of the global coral reefs.
Everything
Could
is
this
so
affect the food security of
Pacific,
millions
isn't
of
it?
people?
Like, it's really increased
Hold tight.
at 1
Our
degree.
path forward
And everything's
is
skitzing and
raising a lot
panicking
of
and
questions.
not being
So,
able to manage.
Let's keep going to find out.
It's just so specific.
Glaciers are melting, raising global sea levels by 20 centimeters. Today, floods are already happening more frequently, and rising sea levels are threatening cities, towns, and villages worldwide.
I could pause this, Lords. I'm just a muppet, right, in a chair in the northeast of England. And I can see there's an issue. It's not being talked about much, is it? They're trying to find the cause, they're trying to put the blame on people. Why can't we just look at fixes, please? I'd like
This
fixes.
raises another question.
I know Bojo and
Would the
the
inhabitants
boys
of
won't
these
watch this.
places have to
Well,
move somewhere else?
To you, that.
The numbers of mammals, birds, reptiles, and fishes have decreased by 70%, disrupting the food chain and ecosystems. Would that affect our diet? How could we sustain ourselves and the next generations? Pollution and consumerism are depleting the soil and water, decreasing our air quality and affecting what we're ingesting. If the food we eat and the water we drink are polluted, you can bet our bodies will feel the brunt of it. Cancer deaths are
Which
steadily increasing,
goes,
and
aren't we?
they could rise even more with the
Yeah, but
deterioration.
with the cancer thing, that's due to fast foods, smoking. Even though no one smokes as much now, but it's like, think if I'm the exact same. If I'm hungry, I won't go downstairs. I'll go Mackey's, KFC, Burger King, Subway, Nando's. I know it's like Nando's is alright, Subway can be, but like all that processed food.
Deterioration of the environment would
Also, what I find, I'm pausing it a lot, is for crops to grow faster, they use a certain kind of like growth thing that the plants will eat, and that's all rubbish for you. And we're obviously like eating that, which we're not meant to. We're not meant to eat chemicals put on plants so they can grow faster, so farmers can churn crops out. It all comes down to
you be able to avoid getting sick?
All comes down to that.
The world's richest 1% own half the wealth. This extreme inequality could increase even more. This could cripple us by slowing down any measures that could help us to avoid humanity's collapse. But if you're still optimistic and think that somehow everything is going to be okay, then
Funny as
that's
that.
great.
That
But
video.
let's see if you're right.
10 years from
70
now,
to
plus
90%
1.5
of coral reefs would
degree.
die.
This
Thousands
is
of
in 10 years.
species and marine life would begin to go extinct. Add to this Earth's increasing temperature, and it could trigger the loss of millions of tons of maize, wheat, and soybean crops.
Oh,
That
no.
would bring some parts of
Favorite
Asia,
crops.
South America, and Africa to starvation, forcing
Oh,
us to
I feel
change our
ashamed now.
diets drastically.
And that's Megan.
As ecosystem equilibrium breaks, nature could
Oh,
respond with
bugs and the crickets and
infestations
that.
of insects. That could impact our crops even more. Millions of people who rely on fishing and agriculture would have to leave their homes in order to survive. An unprecedented mass migration would begin. Maybe, as several cultures already do, we would start to introduce insects into our diet, as they would be plentiful and free. You want some ketchup with that?
Could not think of anything worse than going downstairs. What's for brekkie, ma'am? She answers a slug. Bit of butter on the slug. Oh, that'd be tasty.
The Earth's
30 years from
population would
now,
hit 10 billion
2
by the year
degrees.
2050. Overpopulation
Hit 10 billion by 2050. 10 billion people. World ain't big enough, man.
and a shortage of resources would inevitably bring social tensions and poverty. Ocean creatures and thousands of other species on Earth would disappear. Sea
7
levels would
degrees by
continue
8
to
years.
rise. Entire islands could be submerged. Japan, Indonesia, the Caribbean, and countless coastal
The
areas
UK?
around the world would become history.
We're an island.
Inhabitants of these areas would have to move inland, intensifying the mass migrations already happening. And any pre-existing conflicts could trigger
Showing
wars
COD
between
gameplay, yeah.
countries. We've seen how refugees are being treated. Now imagine that, but hundreds of times worse. The lack of food and clean water could worsen and decimate our human population. We would face drought, famine, pandemics, and these catastrophic
this, isn't
events
this?
would
Just absolutely
eventually
crazy.
affect everyone, everywhere, and chaos would rule. That could leave us with only a few thousand survivors,
So basically, what I've heard there is we've got 80 years left.
or
That's
it
all
could
we've
lead us to
been
total
given.
extinction. After that, what would the Earth look like? Human beings would leave behind a
Apparently, the world is that far gone now. If humans were to cease to exist, the world would, because we've changed the world that much that if we went, the Earth couldn't cope. Because we're just keeping it going now, just like an alcoholic. If you take alcohol away from them, they like panic and they can't. The body won't survive without it. So you need to like nurse it into them. Same with this. We can't just stop. We'd have to
abandoned civilizations and
like still give
mountains
it
of waste,
pollution and
mostly
stuff like that.
tons
which
of
is just a mad
plastic
thought,
that
isn't it?
won't disappear for thousands of years. And cities would change drastically due to the lack of maintenance. Without people to maintain them, sewers wouldn't divert rainfall or rising groundwater. The subways in massive sprawling cities like New York, London, Manila, Hong Kong, and Mumbai could flood within hours. Unmanned nuclear plants could trigger leaks and nuclear meltdowns,
Nuclear
contaminating
ones as well, that's
surrounding
what I
areas.
forgot to say, because obviously we maintain all the nuclear plants. If no one else is, they'll just go.
Insects would take over farmland, cities, and the wild. That could actually be beneficial for several other survivor species. As the years go by, buildings would collapse from erosion and fire. Glass would probably go first, followed by metal structures that would rust and crumble. Stone buildings might weather, but they would still last for millennia. It would take millions of years for Earth to recover, but eventually it would become more lush and
Nature always wins.
diverse. New ecosystems would be in place, with both old and newer species coexisting. Of course, this is only a prediction, but just look at the things that have already happened and things that are happening now. Is there a chance that our civilization could collapse in the next century? Well, we need to take drastic measures
You'd like
against
to hope
climate
not.
change right now. If we don't,
Yeah, well, they just
we
said
could
you have
be
to
trapped at home
drastically
forever
change
because
now. We can't waste
outside
any
would be
time.
too hot, too polluted, and there would be too many pandemics. Can you imagine what your life would be like if COVID-19 never went away? Well, that's a story for another What If.
The camera went off, thankfully, right at the end. So the video had finished. It was just saying all the what if stuff. But yeah, I think those videos are crazy. Me, like I think the top dogs need to really pull the finger out their ass, like, and do something about it. To be honest, because they keep on pushing it on us, but there's only so much we can do, and there's only I bet we're a tiny percentage of everything as well, of like pollution and all sorts going on. Yeah, just is what it is. Like the oil people now are going out, sticking themselves on pictures and like sitting on the roads, which you can't really agree with at all, can you? But they're getting people talking about them, they're getting the news, they're getting raising people's awareness of it because they're talking about them. That's really the end goal, isn't it? So there's a few people trying to sort it out, but yeah, it's not nice when you watch it, like put you in a bit of a Debbie Downer, like. But anyways, thanks for watching that video. I've got a vlog coming next week. I'm going to vlog with this weekend. I'm going to a boiler room as well, vlog that. I do all sorts. Put that there, usual shoulders. Just a reminder, subscribe. Thanks for watching, like all that stuff. I'll see you in the next one.